Shay. I'm going to let it pile up in here. Peace to the gods and goddesses. Peace to the gods and goddesses. Share it alive. This is going to be very powerful. It's going to be very powerful. While you got time, I highly recommend grabbing a pen and paper. Okay, this is going to be some information you may want to write down. Okay, so take a little time to grab your notepad and paper. And we're going to dig into some very pertinent information here. I got my notepad. I always write my notes. I always take notes. So peace to the collective. Much love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for joining. Peace and love. Big Ashe. We're going to go into some powerful information that most of y'all probably never heard of tonight. What's good? What's up? Peace and love. Much love to the collective. Big Ashe, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Share it alive. We can go into some powerful information. I like to let it pile up before I start to dig into the information. Peace, goddess. Peace to the collective. Big Ashe, share it alive. Share it alive. We can go into some information tonight. We're going to discuss a very powerful doctor or professor. All right, that most of you probably are completely unaware of. He's neuromelanated, he's Nubian. Gentleman by the name of Dr. Gabriel Oyibo. All right, and this doctor, this professor, actually completed Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared. He mastered the equation. All right, most people don't talk about him, but he actually completed what Einstein couldn't complete. All right, in 1990 to be exact. So Dr. Gabriel Oyibo actually created what's called the GAGUT. It's the acronym for it, and it's God Almighty's Grand Unified Theorem. All right. And to explain what a theorem is basically something that's proven fact. It's no flaws in it. It's infallible, basically, when you have a theorem. All right. So it's not a theory. So don't mistake the word theorem for theory. All right. He had what's called God's Almighty Grand Unified Theorem. All right. And again, the theorem has no possibility of errors logically or geometrically. All right, gods and goddesses. Now, the Grand Unified Theorem is also called the God Almighty Grand Unified Theorem. The theorem demonstrates that the universe originated from and continues to exist as a unified wave force field called God or spirit. All right. This is the equation Gij, comma J equals 0. All right. Gij, comma J equals 0. All right. And again, it's called the GAGUT. It has unified all mathematics into one equation. All right. So E equals mc squared. All Newton's mathematics, all those equations have been locked into one equation. All right. By this Nubian brother that nobody talk about. All right. Nobody talk about him. Everybody talk about Einstein, but nobody talk about Gabriel Oyibo. All right. So we're going to talk about him tonight. All right. So when we get into this, G represents God. I represents God's material dimension. J represents God's space-time dimension. The comma represents change or divergence. So the equation is the infallible mathematical proof that change in God is 0. Basically, the indication that prime source creator doesn't fluctuate or change. All right. And another part of the theory is that we're all associated with this God force. All right. So we're going to get deeper into this formula. All right. And again, I'm going to show you all the formula. All right. This is the complete mathematical theorem. All right. And this is by Gabriel Oyibo. And again, he came out with a unified theorem that Einstein had. It was a challenge for Einstein to actually ascertain these mathematics. All right. And that Dr. Gabriel Oyibo, he was nominated. All right. For the Presidential Medal of Science and the Nobel Prize Awards. All right. So we're going to get into some more information now. Professor Oyibo discovered the mathematical formula for everything in 1990. All right. Gabriel Oyibo was able to complete the task that challenged Einstein, as well as solve Nair-Stokes equation and all other mathematical problems. Professor Oyibo went above and beyond by solving all known equations in the field of science and life itself. All right. All by discovering the equation of all equations, Gij, comma J equals 0, which is the God Almighty Unified Theorem, nicknamed GAGUT. All right. His theorem states that all elements of the universe are controlled by a form of God or God's spirit. All right. And again, the equation Gij, comma J equals 0. All right. Has proven that all theorems and equations, past, present, and future, originate out of one invariant, Gi, which has orthogonal components. All right. And now to explain what orthogonal means, And in mathematics, orthogonality is the generalization of the geometric notion of perpendicular, when things are perpendicular or basically intersect. All right, so when something is orthogonally, basically means it intersects. Meaning, basically, in a sense, you can look at it like the World Wide Web. Everything's intersecting. Everything's connected. Just like I made mention of string theory, the string theory, the concept that everything's attached by small microscopic webs. And again, this is where the concept of the World Wide Web come from. Ether, energy, basically. That plasma primordial energy that connects everything. All right. So we're going to get into it. Was recognized. Now, God's almighty grand unified theorem and science cosmic family was recognized as a holy grail. All right. It was literally the unified field theorem of everything. And it was proved to be the only absolutely perfect, correct universal equation. All right. And most people don't know this. And the correct name for hydrogen was Afrocrogen, pardon self. It was called Afrocrogen. And if you look at that, I wrote it down here, Afrocrogen, all right, it basically was Africa the origin, basically implying that all life stemmed from Africa is what basically this scientist concluded, all right, in regards to the primordial waters of Noon, all energy derived from melanin is what he concluded, all right, all that black melanin, that black dot, the melanocyte. All right, so Afrocrogen is the original name for hydrogen. Follow me. Please follow me. Afrocrogen, Africa the origin, is the original actual name for hydrogen. And hydrogen, if you look up the etymology, is hide the origin. Hydrogen sounds like hide the origin. Hide the origin that it actually all derived from Africa. All right. Now, again, this Gabriel Oyibo went as far as to say that the only element that actually should be on the periodic table of the elements is hydrogen. All right, he indicated that all the other 118 elements really didn't even need to be there because everything in the universe is actually associated and connected with hydrogen. This is why if it's water on other planets, you can tell if it's life on that planet, life inhabited in that planet. You feel me? Everything has hydrogen in it. All right. So, and again, the original name for hydrogen, when scientists studied it, was Afrocrogen. All right, because they studied the first person, they studied everything, and everything derived in their sciences back to Africa or back to that particular landmass, which we know is Alkebalan, actually. All right, we know that Scipio Africanus was the one that invaded that landmass. He invaded that landmass. All right. All right. So let's see here. Now, since Gaga is a theorem or a provable truth of everything, that says everything is conserved within a transformation process over space and time. All right, so what that means, to put it in layman terms, basically everything exists or is happening simultaneously through space and time. Right now, this conversation that we're having, this live we're doing, actually existed in space and time prior to it transpiring here in this third dimensional construct. Everything's happening simultaneously. We are the essence and embodiment of God. All right, not to go over anybody's head. So now we're going to talk about E equals MC squared. All right, which was Einstein's formula. All right. And that's the idea that mass and energy are the same thing, just in different forms. All right, just so you understand. E represents energy, M represents mass, and C basically represents the speed of light. Just so you understand that. Now, which acts as a conversion factor. The equation shows that when an object's energy changes by E, its mass changes. All right, so when an object's energy changes, by science, its mass changes is what the formula changes. And Newton basically has proved that gravity is conserved through transformation. The difference between they formulas and Oyibo is he proved that everything, not just mass and gravity, are conserved through transformation. So everything goes through a transformative process in higher dimensional planes before we even see it materialize in this third dimensional construct. This is how you explain the Mandela effect and how things could vary and how things could change. You feel me? So a lot of things, and again, a lot of people don't talk about this particular scientist. All right. And when we talk about, and again, he basically indicated that everything derived from primordial blackness, dark energy, the primordial waters of Noon, basically, in the essence, right? So everything derived from that black energy. This is also the concept of neuromelanin. When we talk about neuromelanin again, that whole Gaga formula could also tie into melanin and the pineal gland. All of it could, and then when you think about that, that can actually highlight how the pineal gland is actually God. Y'all following me? So now when we, again, get into Gabriel Oyibo's mathematical equation, Gaga, it was basically implying that everything is God. You're God. I'm God. A rock is God. The water is God. Everything in existence actually in essence is God. All right? Y'all following me? Y'all. So religion was a form of mind control. It was something that was actually used to indoctrinate you, basically for the purpose of extracting your loosh or your energy. That was the purpose of it, to manipulate and control you. And to not let you know that you are actually God. You're actually the God. And they laugh. A lot of these deletes sit on their thrones and they're laughing. You know, they're laughing because a lot of people run into these churches. They spending billions and billions of dollars in religion. All right. You know, it's several times that my grandmother went in her purse, right, and put her little bit of last bit of money in that collection plate. How many of y'all can relate to that? When your grandmothers was telling you to take your little bit of change that you hustled up. Bottles or whatever. I remember when I was young, I used to even take bottles back to get the 5-cent deposit. Me and my sisters and brother would take, and then when we go to church, they would tell us, oh, you got to give it. You got to give it. So then when I got older and realized what I was doing, I'm like, oh my God, this whole time I've been putting money into this religion, these falsified religions, right? And then the crazy thing about it, right? I'm seeing everybody singing this black, right? I'm seeing the pastors black. I'm seeing everybody in the congregation, everybody, the ushers, everybody's black except for the person that they worshiping is this Albion Tamahu man. So it never made sense to me. It never made sense. I always knew something was wrong with it. So I would never wanted to put my money in that collection tray. I just felt funny about it. So I would save my money. I would leave my money under my mattress. I didn't want to take my money. It's facts. I didn't want to take my money. And here's another thing. There was a story, right, about this Catholic woman, right, who her father transitioned. And she believed in purgatory. Her father was gambling and things of that nature. So she believed in purgatory. She didn't believe that her father, went to the heavenly gate, so to speak, or heaven, so to speak, right? So the priest was telling her that he's in purgatory. The lady ended up spending about $3,000 with this priest, right? Only for the priest to tell her only his finger made it out of purgatory. Is what she told him. Only his finger has successfully now made it out of purgatory. That she still has to keep giving money up. You feel me? So it's a system that's used to brainwash and indoctrinate and actually push fear on you and to make you think that you're less powerful than what you are. That's what it really is designed to do. Now, when we talk about hydrogen, we talk about water, we talk about hydrogen being the essence of God. You're primarily composed of what? What are you primarily made of, cosmic family? Water, right? So this is why I talk about, see, now we're getting to the point, and one of the reasons why I've been primarily shadow banned a lot is because, listen, everything is about transformation. Everything. Even our bodies are primarily water. We can exercise and build our body up and transform it. Really think about it. We can mold it like clay, in a sense. We can mold it like clay. We're these fleshly avatars, but even the mind is the same essence. The mind can be molded and transformed. And this is what the deletes have done. Over the years, they have been molding our mind and indoctrinating us. As Rockefeller said, he want a nation of workers and not a nation of thinkers. He don't want people thinking and congregating and actually expounding on formulas and esoteric information and learning. We really need to be getting into formulas and quantum physics and really delving into information that we consider boring. This is what I challenge you to do. I challenge you to, real talk, we need to be pulling up books that we don't know nothing about. I'm talking about if you're bad at mathematics or geometry or even calculus, arithmetic. Reason I'm telling you to do this is because once you start reading it, subconscious parts of your mind is going to start to activate. Even if you don't know a damn thing. I challenge you to watch a YouTube video that you typically wouldn't watch. YouTube quantum physics and pull up the first video and watch it. And then start going on a rabbit hole and challenging your mindset. All right? Not just this esoteric information that you already know and have knowledge on. Study something that you have no knowledge on that you really haven't really took the time to really delve into and challenge your mind. We have to get back to where we were. We fell. My objective is to remind you and to basically make you delve into knowledge that's deeper. to basically challenge yourself, challenge the academics. Most of the academics that they taught us was pretty much technology. This is why we never understood the DAGA, or God's Almighty Grand Unified Theorem. We never got God's Almighty Grand Unified Theorem. They didn't teach us about Gabriel or Yibo because they didn't want us to know the full science. That's why, that's why I said E equals MC squared is a false equation. They stored our real math and E equals MC squared is indoctrination. They stored our real math and left us with false equations. That's why I said that in that verse, because it's true. Most of the false equations in mathematics they give us is to ensure that our dormant DEA doesn't connect, and we don't have the ability of fully tapping into our ancient memories. You can go to a hypnotist. How can I see who I was in my past life? You can visit a hypnotist, and if you trust them, and go through past life regression. You can astral project. You can utilize things like magic mushrooms. That's the more aggressive way to do it. Because it's going to force you to walk through your shadow. You're going to have to walk through the murky waters in order to get to the light. Most people aren't ready for it. All right. So this is why they're scared of psychedelics, because they're not ready to arm wrestle with the shadow self. They're not ready for that. Yin and yang, the balancing of the dark and the night. Integration of the cosmic light body is not going to always be easy. I made a video earlier talking about archons and parasites, and how they basically coincide, and how for years they have been tricking us into going out clubbing. And when you think about a club, what's a club? A club is something that knocks you upside the head, right? So when you really think about it, it's been hitting us in the head the whole time, right? With low frequency music, alcohol, which is Al Gu, a body eating spirit, attached to Pluto, which is attributed to death. All right. And Arabic, Al Gu is body eating spirit. This is why they call them wines and spirits. So when you're consuming alcohol and going to the club, this is what it is. This is why you get blackouts. When you get clubbed, what you do? If you get clubbed, you might black out, right? Same thing with the alcohol and the low frequencies. They want you to black out so you make poor decisions attached to your R complex, which is the reptilian portion of the brain that deals with low frequency subject matter, fight or flight. Sex, etc. Eating and sex and all of those low frequency things attributed to the R complex. It's all what we celebrate to do, family. Think about it. For years, they've been getting us to work. Break our backs working for a system, slaving for a draconian system or a money system, just to go to the weekend to be weekend. Because the weekend is weekend. And then they tell us, I can't wait till the weekend. You saying it now. Because what's going to happen when you drinking and you're overindulging? You're going to be weakened, throwing up in the toilet, saying, I'll never do this again. And that's how they do it. They basically break down your physical God body. It's Al Gu, a body-eating spirit at that. It's a spirit too. All right, so they have the ability of attaching all kind of different malevolent archons and things of that nature. And again, alcohol also deteriorates muscle fiber. It makes you forget. It deteriorates neurons. It's horrible. And it also creates oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is when you start wrinkling of the skin. Electrons, your electron count, it starts diminishing. All right. All of these things are attributed to alcohol. This is how they conquered us, cosmic family. All right. Remember, with the Indians was indigenous. All right. And Thanksgiving, one of the biggest things they did during that time was they brought us blankets infected with smallpox, but they also brought us alcohol. They introduced us to Al Gu. That was brought to us by the Tamahu, by the Albion. All right. And guess what they did? They said, we are celebrating. We're making a peace treaty, because they couldn't do it. They couldn't conquer us with their muskets and stuff by themselves. Do you know how powerful we were? Do you know how much we knew the land? We were warriors. We're warriors. We're very powerful. All right. So they had to invade us with alcohol. And somebody said, and sugar. Yes, indeed. And sugar. All right. Sugar actually shuts down your immune system within 45 minutes. It goes into the bone marrow and shuts down your ability to produce white blood cells. All right. Yeah, they're trying to poison us. They're trying to poison us big time. All right. And, and again, hopefully y'all writing this down. Hopefully y'all wrote down Gabriel Oyibo. Y'all wrote down his formula, which is the God unified. I'm going to say it again. I have it written down. It's God's Almighty Grand Unified Theorem. We don't talk about this God enough. Maybe write that formula down and say it. All right. It's a theorem, meaning it's infallible. Maybe this theorem and saying this formula is equivalent to saying 0, 1, how people say the numbers and all that to try to manifest things. Maybe that formula is more effective for manifestation. It's the essence of creation, the essence of God energy. All right. So this is why they didn't want us to know these formulas and why they don't broadcast the neuromelanated sciences. Now, another thing that Gabriel Oyibo believe is that all sciences derive and all ancient mathematics derive from Alkebalan, or what you call Africa. All right. We already know that we was here first in America and everything, that really everywhere is really our planet. We know that. But a lot of the old teachers, the old school teachers, was on that Africa thing, which is fine. It's cool because there are brothers and sisters as well. You feel me? I love my brothers and sisters over in Africa. The thing is, we not from there though. It's just a fact. It's not that we don't want to be African. It's just that we are not. We're from this landmass, originated. What people have to know is that planet Tiamat is a living, sentient planet. All right? It's no such thing as no life form. Even parts of the planet that we haven't even been is life over there. It's parts of the planet, guarantee it, that we probably haven't seen, that we don't know nothing about, where it's tribes that still live old school. They're still burning, taking 2 pieces of wood to make a fire type energy. You feel me? It's still old ancient tribes that haven't been indoctrinated or touched or messed with. You know why? They're savage warriors. Some of them are still telepathic. Some of the tribes don't even speak. They just do grunts, but they telepathic. You might, based on your limited Western knowledge, you may think that they're not intelligent, but they're spiritually intelligent on another level. All right? Where there are no different herbs. They can look at a herb and know exactly what it do. They can walk across a grain and feel something. They can feel the wind coming and know when a natural disaster is coming. They plugged in with nature. All right? We've been subject to I'm gonna be honest, an experiment. All right. Now I'm going to go into the Lyran information. I'm going to go into the Lyrans on how they hijack the planet. We're going to get into some draconian information now, because this is segue point. Because a lot of us, to be honest with you, gods and goddesses, are victims of the Orion War. A lot of you are Lyran starseeds that still have epigenetic trauma for when the Dracos invaded planet Avalon. That was the planet. It was planet Avalon. All right. Now I wrote some information down. I always get into information. I love to study and research. And a lot of times when y'all not seeing me, it's because I'm studying and taking time to delve into esoteric information. I'm writing. When I channel, I write. I'm writing things. I'm writing lyrics too. I'm been coming up and crafting some crazy creative work that y'all gonna love. But originally, the Lyrans came from a planet called Avalon, or Avion Agora, near Vega, northern constellation of Lyra. All right. It's 25 light years or 7.7 parsecs from the sun. All right. Also known as the Anuhazi. Lyrans are the root humanoid race of our galaxy. One interesting discovery that the galactic historians have uncovered is that we all contain Lyran DNA. All right. Not being able to find a missing link in humans or primates, it was determined that these beings was from a different world entirely, different dimensions. Some of them actually were light beings, but then wanted to inhabit a physical body and manifested physicality. All right. So it's important that you know that. The Anunnaki also had that same concept. All right. So we're going to get into a little information. Now, let's see. Essentially, they started out as light beings, and then they decided to incarnate into a physical avatar. And then in time, due to the fact that they are scientists and geneticists, they made alterations to their physical avatar. They start upgrading themselves genetically. All right. And this is something, and even we do the same thing through different herbs and stuff. Lion's mane, when you're taking ginkgo biloba, when you're using different herbs and stuff that we make mention of, you're basically upgrading your physical avatar. But see, really, in essence, when we use these herbs, we're combating the malevolent attacks that the deletes are doing to try to degrade our God body. All right. To try to basically keep us out of tune. Now, we're going to touch into the war a little bit of what actually happened on Avalon. The Lyran Draconian War legend indicates, all right, that the Ring Nebula may have been a portal the Draconians came through. They came through the ring of the Nebula Ring. All right, that was a portal that they actually utilized to come to basically bypass that dimensional realm and get into planet Avalon. All right, and they came through the Ring Nebula. May have been a portal the Draconians came through. The Draconians was a tyrannical race of reptilians. Their objective was to take over Avalon for their own personal gain and use its resources. The Draconians viewed it as a good trade route. All right. The planet was where they wanted it, basically. It was a convenient and well placed. The Draconians use deception to overthrow the Lyran civilization. Now, some of you are against space and stuff like that. So if you want to view it as an off-world land, however you want to view it. Now, my whole thing with when people say space isn't real, I say then where are we? Where is the planet? Even if, hypothetically speaking, let's say it was flat and it was other worlds under other domes, then once you get outside of that realm of reality, where is that plane of existence hanging on? It has to be something. So the whole space is not real. I don't indulge in an argument because to me, it's asinine. Whether you want to believe it's a vacuum or whether you want to believe it's flat or nothing, we're still somewhere. We have to be somewhere in the cosmos, somewhere in the, you know what I mean? So that's my debate with that. I really don't get into rhetoric with debating the concept of whether space is real, because I only through astral projection have left this physical construct. Only through astral projection. I did it through astral projection. I have seen stars. I have flown through quasars. I have seen these, what you call space. I have seen it in the astral plane. All right. So what if space is the astral plane? Who knows? But I have seen these realms, what you call planets and all, I have seen these things and astral projection experiences and all of that. All right. So, but they basically felt that planet Avalon was a perfect location. Now, what they do is they use, our planet is also being used as a mining planet. Do y'all know that, right? This planet is a mining planet. Y'all think y'all living peaceful and everything. They reset us every 24,000 years. All right. They use us to mine for resources in adrenochrome. It's an adrenochrome mining planet is what this currently is. All right. And they take, I'm going to say for sake of them banning this video, they, take children, we'll say, in certain areas, underage individuals, and basically extract adrenochrome for the 33rd vertebrae or the left eye. All right. This is something they do. And the planet was taken and converted to a mining facility. And this is and the thing is, when the Draconians invaded Avalon, the Lyrans weren't really into technology initially. They weren't. They were mystical beings. They were more spiritual. But when they were going to get into technology. And one of the things that the Draconians told them is that we will basically give you technology. It was a hoax. It was a lie. They basically hit him in the head, so to speak. Right? They basically, and then when they did that, they had weapons. They had technology. They were very violent. And they pretty much planned this invasion. So the Lyrans were blindsided. Now, the thing is, a lot of you feel the anguish from some of that. A lot of you remember being invaded. A lot of you feel the anguish from some of that. And the thing is, a lot of you have anger that's unresolved because of this and don't even know how to heal it. And a lot of us are dealing with a cosmic... and the thing is, pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to your dreams, because a lot of your dreams, for the individual that asked me earlier, how do you know about past lives? Your dreams will tell you a lot about past lives. All right. And my theory personally is the past, present, and future is happening all right now. You know what I'm saying? The concept of the past. Right now in this video is the past, even though you're watching it right now. Because every second that I talk, it's the future. You feel me? So the future, everything I'm saying is the past right now. Right now, even though it's the present and the future, because I'm still talking. And I always say that. The past, present, and future is all happening as we speak. We're in the moment. So this is the fastest way to actually separate and unplug from the matrix is by existing in the now. It's by basically embodying the essence of now. When you get into that resonance and center yourself with everything, you basically don't worry about anything. You become central. You basically embody the essence of zero energy. You feel me? And this is how you embody that energy, by basically See, fear is the biggest way the Draconians keep a loose cycle going on this planet. They introduce money, they introduce bills, they introduce all of the things that we stress and worry about, solely to keep us in a low frequency. And the news is also accompanying them with keeping us in a low frequency by consistently feeding us low frequency information. You never really get good news on the news. It's always something to scare you or something to make you worry. All right. To find their stock systems crashing. This has happened. This country's going to war with this country. This person unalive this person, etc., etc. Right. And that's Medea, which is the Greek enchantress, basically of illusion. And it's designed to perpetuate that energy cycle to keep you in that low density. We cannot live in fear. I'll say, yes, indeed, we can't. All right. Fear is how and this is why I tell you to have an astral projection experience, to not fear these things, to have a magic mushroom experience, to face all of these things you fear. And I'm going to be honest, I don't always face my fears. There's times I have been in dreams, right? This is when I realized I had a Lyran aspect too. I'm going to share this with y'all. It's been times I've been in dreams, right? And I see super big lions and tigers. I mean, the size of houses. I mean, I'll walk out and I'll be in a childhood house and I'll immediately go to the energy of fear because I see a lion or a tiger, which I'm known as to be predatory. All right. And I see them and they just walking around. I mean, I'm talking about big Siberian tigers, huge, 9 foot tall, 10 foot. Lions and tigers, massive. And I'm like, whoa. And sometimes I'll be lucid and I'll see them and I'll just be like, because the reality feels so real. So sometimes I'll have to fight the energy of fear myself. But this is all tests for my higher self to teach us certain things. Sometimes if we go through the energy of fear and those alternate transcendental states of awareness, our spirit guides are saying, you know what, they're still not fully ready yet. Give them a little more time before you give them that lesson. They still need to master the element of fear. This third dimensional construct still has them in the energy of fear. Give them a little more time to learn it first. They'll test us through different things like fear and everything. All right. So this is why we have to master our fear. Wow, amazing. This is a first love with you. Thank you for telling your story, Ashe. Most indefinitely. When we see dreams are something that our higher self sometimes is nudging us because we know we mastered the universe already. We mastered the cosmos, life, love. I know what you mean. It's all love, but it's a situation where we're mastering that. We mastered the cosmos already. We're just reminding ourselves. Every time you read or study or learn or do anything, you're just re-educating yourself. You're reminding yourself. When you heard all this information, you're just reminding yourself about the God when we talked about, all right? And you're reminding yourself about the Draconian War. You're remembering all these things. When we talk about Atlantis flooding, when we talk about Tartaria and the mud floods, a lot of you were there, all right? Some of you were in your giant body back then. Some of you were the giants that were frozen at the time, right? I'm gonna play a game. We're gonna play a game. Can you remember? Can you remember running and being froze? Can you remember your family playing or slavery times where your family was taken as slaves? All of us have these memories that can flood back our epigenetic storage at any time. I remember I remember a story, right? Where everyone used to gather in this ancient land. And it used to be a divine feminine energy that would come. And she would literally speak to everyone. And her name was the Great Mother. She didn't have a body. I know it sounds crazy. It was a head floating, almost like the concept of the Teletubbies with the sun. It was a head that just was sitting there. Almost what you would say when you see Zordon from the Power Rangers. Picture that. But a woman. Neuromelanated black woman. And she would talk to everyone. And her head she would be like the sun. And everybody would basically be waiting for the mama to give them information. Some of you probably remember this head that would talk, right? We also had large trees. We wouldn't even have to walk on the ground. The trees are so big. We could literally walk across the trees without having to touch the ground ever. We would just walk across the trees without ever having to touch the ground. All right. And the grass was blue. The grass had blue colors and everything. Just like we fell and our colors changed, the planet was different colors. All right. Just like we were bright greens and blues and all of these different colors, the planet had different colors too. Once I was on a Palladian ship and this was in a crazy lucid dream. I was on a ship, all metallic in the inside. It was a Palladian Albion being pointing out the window. When he was pointing out the window, it was floating land masses with pink grass. And there was animals that almost resembled what you would deem a dinosaur eating all out of the trees. Almost like a giraffe, but it was like a dinosaur type being. But a little bit different, almost what you would deem like an alien type looking animal. It didn't look like what our current animals are. Now, who's to say I could have been anywhere? Who's to say I wasn't in another Earth that was similar, in a mirror parallel? Who's to say? But these are different transcendental states of consciousness that sometimes we tap into that could be where you actually are, where you're from, or other aspects of yourself. Some of you, all of you, see, this is the thing. We derive from multiple different timelines. It's a situation where some of you were Lyran, some of you were Arcturian, some of you, we had different archetypes that we embody, or a gigantic bird, yeah. Yes, I've seen gigantic birds in some of my, I have seen massive birds in some of my visions. Sometimes some of us are actually connected to inner earth, or Shambhala or Agartha. And we have the ability of actually going to these realms as well if our energetic resonance is in synchronicity with it at that time. All right. Where we can actually, we have the ability of literally popping in these realms or seeing where sometimes when you see another world, you may be in Central Earth. You may be, and some of you are from there and just signed a contract to come back to help the surface reach ascension. Because the inner earth, the beings in the inner earth aren't it's not as detrimental as it is here. Also including the other 8 caverns, because there's multiple, not including Agartha, there's other entry points to the center, to the earth. The whole earth is hollow. All right. There's lots of crevices and pockets, basically where life could exist. We've seen the sinkholes in China as evidence. All right. There's evidence of the sinkholes in China. You can look it up if you believe that this is pseudo, or you never heard the story of Admiral Richard Byrd, who actually discovered Antarctica. He's seen the ice wall. This is all true. So when people talk about flat Earth and all that, I personally don't subscribe in the concept of flat Earth, but I do believe that there's hidden lands outside of an ice wall. I do believe that we're encapsulated under a hydrogen dome. I believe all of that. But the reason I don't embody the essence or the theory of flat Earth, basically to speak, is because every shape in nature basically pretty much is round. Fruits, if you look at everything, it pretty much has some type of round structure to it. Even a bubble. And when a soap bubble forms, it forms into the most best shape for it to exist, which is a spherical shape. I personally believe it's more like an egg that's hollowed out, like an onion with layers. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that there's some type of hydrogen dome that's placed on it from non-relevant beings to hijack this realm to keep us from actually leaving. Now, I do also believe that it's a lot bigger than what we believe, and that there is other lands outside, way outside. I believe that this earth is way more massive, and I believe that the concept of the flat earth and round is both are correct at the same time. I believe the other ice lands are right, and all of that. I do believe that. I do believe that these other lands and extraterrestrials have the ability of visiting through portals. The water is a large portal. There was oceanologists that actually went underwater and found another ocean under the ocean. All right, where it was some type of barrier there, and then they unalived them from even exposing that. They unalived them for that. That barrier that he seen, because it was like a wall, like a glass or something. And underneath that was another water. You feel me? Where did he get to? Was that a whole nother civilization? There's stories of underwater castles and things of that nature. We know the mermaids like that these deletes are taking. A lot of these beings are, it's crazy that they're doing that too. And all of these beings are going to be fighting with us, by the way. I seen it in my visions, the mermaids and all of that. We're going to be telepathically, because these beings are very telepathic, very intelligent, magical too. They regenerate. They're powerful. They're very intelligent beings. And the only reason they're doing that is to basically ascertain immortality. As another form, I told you this whole planet is a mining facility. It's a mining facility. It's a cosmic mining facility that's being used by multiple extraterrestrial biological entities, particularly the malevolent factions of the Anunnaki from the Orion star constellation. All right? And then the Draconians as well. And then not all Lyrans are good. There were some malevolent Lyran entities as well. There's polarity and everything, but most of the Lyrans are ascended. All right? But there were some that actually gave into Draconian order. You feel me? See, the thing is, and then there's also, just like there's good grays, which are the Ramadians, and bad grays. All right? And a lot of the grays were biologically induced. Some of the smaller ones are clones. All right? Biological clones, pretty much in a sense. NPCs, if you may. All right? They pretty much are set and controlled. They have the ability of remote controlling these grays from way over in a whole other area. They can literally send off the grays to do something, remote control them, see what they're doing, wipe them out if they're not doing something. Literally, and they know. And they have the ability of absolutely, if it is true, the elites are messing with the creatures, beings of the sea. They are extremely powerful. These beings will fight back. Yeah, some of the beings are fighting back. Some of the beings are fighting back. When you see the story, it's a very good show. I believe I think it's on Netflix. called Witcher. It's called Witcher Sirens. He talking about sirens. It's about sirens, and it's a very good watch. It's an animated show, a movie actually, part and stuff. It's an animated movie on Netflix called The Witcher, and it's called about the sirens. I don't know the exact title, but you should check it out. It's fire, and they talk about how these different these mermaids. I mean, in one of the mermaids, they made the mermaid evil. They always inverted. They made the mermaid evil, and she wanted to go against the people on the land. And she was in cahoots with the king, with the queen, or the king, pardon yourself. She was in cahoots with the king, and the king had malevolent things that he was doing too. But this is real in regards to what they're doing with the aquatic life on this planet, and the same thing they did with the mummies, the same thing they're doing with the melanin on the surface with us on our land. All right, the same thing they're doing to the mermaids, they're doing to us on the land. The same damn thing. They use our melanin for everything you could think about. Computer chips, melanin, everything you could think about. Anything. Surgical devices, medical devices, everything. The melanin is very complex and intricate. It's the glue to the cosmos. All right. So a lot of these devices are actually made with our bodies. They dehydrate our kidneys, our livers and organs. And they actually make these devices. A lot of the things in our phone, crystals and stuff, are actually made with the dehydrated organs. Some of the chemtrails are made with aborted fetuses and things of that nature. And that's blood magic that they use when they implement the aborted fetuses, so they have more of the ability of manipulation of mind control through blood magic. This is how they induce blood magic in the atmosphere where you can't even see it. It's a whole nother level of blood magic when you think about it, right? And then they sometimes they'll do X's in the sky. They'll put certain sigils in the sky too as an encryption. All right, on our molecular water structure. And then it's over water. It's all dark alchemy if you pay attention. All right, they're using the water. They're using the chemicals. They're basically making a big gumbo in the sky with the chemtrails, if you may, like a witch's pot. Mixing a bunch of chemicals, aborted fetuses, all of these different things. And then this stuff dissipates and we consume it. This is why I talk about parasite cleanses. Why I stress the importance of detoxing the body. This is why they're shadow banning me. They really don't want you to notice. This is why and this is also why my spirit guides don't play with me, why I'm divinely guided and protected. And why oftentimes when I enter transcendental states of consciousness, I hear the draconians and these delete malevolent plans for what they would love to do and to do, if they could to me. All right. Now, the thing is following your higher mind or discernment. You're only protected by your higher self if you listen to your higher self. You cannot listen to your higher self and your protection can be forfeited. So listening to your higher self is the key to your protection. And that's a fact. And then some of the greats fall victim to it. I'm going to be honest. Dr. Malachi Z. York predicted his downfall. He predicted everything that was going to happen. He knew it was going to happen. It's a lecture where Dr. York said maybe one day they're going to try to kill me or they're going to try to incarcerate me for this information. He said that. Rashad Jamal spoke on it. We heard several times where he talked about his baby mother, everything she was doing. He predicted everything that was going to happen. He's seen it. So it's just, we see the things that's going to happen. Our higher mind will show us. It's just all about having the fortitude to try to avoid it before it transpires. You feel me? And that's the thing. These deletes don't want to see us excel. Now, sometimes they put us in certain situations because Dr. York is still teaching the people behind the wall. And so is Rashad Jamal. He's still giving tutelage to the gods and goddesses, the gods, part and self, behind the wall. You feel me? And the goddesses as well, because he still make videos. You feel me? Did you know that it's very spiritually benefited to have a baby birthed around dolphins? Yes, I do know that. Yes. The dolphins, not only that, just interacting with dolphins, period. Us communicating with dolphins. Not even just being pregnant. They don't even want us interacting with dolphins. All right? You know what's crazy? I went to a restaurant recently, right? And on the menu was dolphin. And I was so mad about it. I seen it and I'm like, what the hell? And it just made me think. They won't allow us to go near the dolphins, but they can go near them to murder them and kill them and put them on menus to feed them to us, right? It's crazy. But the aquatic life, everything on this planet, the humans are looked at by other extraterrestrial beings as savage. It's important that y'all know that. Oftentimes we think that these aliens are this is why it kind of irked me when I hear people refer to extraterrestrial entities as demons or fallen angelics. Now, there are some fallen angelics, But I'm talking about the ones that basically call all extraterrestrials demons, right? They have a lot of nerve because the human race, all right, the human race on this planet, has really persecuted every life form. Every life form is persecuted. Really, realistically, the human is the parasite of the planet. Parasite, the definition of a parasite is someone that uses your life force to ascertain energy or to survive. They use your life force or your essence to survive. It's the embodiment of a parasitic organism. A parasite can be someone that's living off you. A freeloader is a parasite. They're living off your life force. All right, somebody that has to call you every time they're doing bad, but you never hear from them when you're doing good. They're a parasite. They only call you when they're doing bad, and that's solely, in essence, they're vampiric in nature because they're bringing your energy down. And a lot of times that happens because of some of you are healers, and are healers, and a lot of these people gravitate to you to try to usurp your energy because, in essence, you can transmute that energy. So they're using you, but you have to be conscious of who you let vent to you. Don't let everybody vent to you no more. And moving forward, stop letting people talk your ear off with negative energy. Moving forward, don't do it. You have to be at this point where you earn and reserve your energy and be able to hang up whether it's your mama, even if it's your kids. Give them a little positive information and tutelage. But don't let them bombard your energy, your auric field. Once you realize it's overwhelming you, you have to love yourself. That's your higher mind telling you to refrain from the energy. It is. It's your spiritual alarm system that tells you, remove this energy because it's lowering your frequency. It's up to you to follow your higher mind. Oftentimes in this incarnation, what we'll do is we'll focus on somebody else's feelings more than our own. Something that we know is not right for us. Based on not wanting to upset other individuals, no matter what the case may be, we'll forfeit our own knowledge of self. All right? Hanging around low frequency people. All of that. When you know, and this is facts. This is the reason for this. The reason for your higher mind telling you these things is to nudge you in a direction towards ascension. So if you walk in a party or you walk in a room and your gut say, this don't feel right, but you say, nah, I'm wild and everything is okay, you ignored your higher self. So if the gunshots start firing and you ignored your higher mind, your spiritual alarm clock tried to tell you, it tried to nudge you in the correct direction, but for whatever reason, you avoided it because you just assumed that maybe you were overthinking. Especially if it happens frequent. If you keep thinking it, then it's your higher self or spirit guys they keep nudging you. Right? Like they vent to me and rant to me about work or something, and it's nothing but irrelevant stuff to me, and I don't want to be mean or anything. Yeah, you don't want to be mean, but so this is the nice way to say it. Peace, I love you, family, but I'm going to be 100% honest. Right now, what you're saying, for some reason, is triggering me. And I understand that you're just trying to vent, but right now, I really don't, it's lowering my frequency, family. And I don't mean to, but you have to say that. You have to be truthful. This is the personification of activation of your throat chakra. All right. Remember, all chakra systems lead to the crown. So when you don't speak your truth, you're hindering your throat chakra at that point. All right. You're compromising your throat chakra frequency. All right. Also, at that point, because of you not focusing on your throat chakra, you're doing it 9 times out of 10 out of what? Fear, which then puts you right back to the root chakra. You see how that works? You see how it works? Speaking your truth is invigorating. When you speak your truth, basically it invigorates you. It gives you that feeling, that gut feeling. It raises dopamine too. Try speaking your truth unapologetically. This is why a lot of you have knowledge of self, but don't speak your truth. Won't get on the camera and speak this truth because some of you still care about what your family think about you. Some of you still care about what your friends from high school think about you. Some of you still care about what your friends from your old neighborhood think about you. All right. Some of you probably was gangbangers at one time. Some of you probably are completely changing your life and going through a new transformative process and give too much of a care or a damn what other people think when we are in a spiritual war. And the fastest way to really elevate Christ consciousness is by activating your throat chakra. Yes. Once you activate your throat chakra at that particular point in time, everything else activates substantially because then you start to embark on channeling. Yeah, you have a direct connection with your primordial self. So once you start to activate your throat chakra, you automatically get a sneak preview of the Akashic records. You feel me? You get a sneak preview of the Akashic records. I can talk. This is why I can talk for 4 to 5 hours nonstop, no problem. And just run my mouth. I don't have to have a script. I don't have to prepare or anything. And there's nothing wrong with preparing or actually getting your notes together. I did prepare some of my lecture, actually. You feel me? Because I always write and I take information down. Same thing with the live range. I always write information down. You feel me? Maybe one day I could even sell this book because there's so much knowledge in this joint. You feel me? But it's a situation where the primary focal point should be really tapping in to opening and activating your throat chakra and speaking your truth. Because when you speak your truth, it actually allows you to accept who you really are and learn more about yourself. Most of us forget who we are by hiding who we are. I'm going to say it again. Most of us forget who we are by hiding who we are. All right? If you hide who you are long enough, you can forget who you are. By embodying your true primordial essence and fully walking in your purpose, you find out who you are. You find out more parts of who you are. Because now you're walking deep into the light. But when you actually refrain, and this is what the deletes know. They know that. They know that. They know that quantum physics that says that seeing something is touching it. When you see certain planetary structures and all of that, red kachina, blue kachina, it reactivates primordial memories. All right. This is why they blanket the sky with chemtrails. All right. They blanket the sky with chemtrails so you can't see these stars that you may have had hand in creating. Some of the planetary structures and orbital structures. Here's another thing in regards to the concept of space not being real. Is that, and I'm not opposed to it, is that all CGI? Is all the stars, all the planets that we have been seeing this whole time computer generated imagery? Is it? I mean, I personally, it's been times, right? Real talk. When I tell you no lies. I'm real talk. Have embarked on the magic mushrooms or these entheogens and have looked up and straight seen ships flying back and forth. So it's hard when people tell, and I'm talking about thousands of ships. They up there in traffic. It's busy as hell in the skies. Busy is more busy in the skies than it would ever be on the ground. I'm talking about I can see them with the naked eye flying back and forth from different star systems. Then I would see what I thought was a star start moving. Facts. Is that Merkabah's behind you? Yes. Yes, that's the personification of the Merkabah. Basically, and again, I made mention of Credo Mutwa. All right? Credo Mutwa talked very heavily about how a lot of us came from Mars. And, Mars, before Mars, because Mars went through a period of time where it was inhabitable, but then they had to inhabit the center portion of Mars. Some planets aren't inhabited on the surface, but in the center. All right, remember that. Most planets are hollowed out like an onion. So even the surface, like the surface of Venus, certain beings that came forward that actually claimed to be Venusians actually indicate that they resided in the central portion of Venus. All right, individuals, for example, like Valiant Val Thor, who worked for the government. He actually had one lung. He had no fingerprints. He lived to be he was 100 years old, but only looked like he was about 35 or 40. All right. Valiant Val Thor, he was a Venusian. All right. And, it's research him. If you don't believe me, research Valiant Val Thor. Google him. For all individuals who kind of question whether extraterrestrial biological entities walked amongst man and work with our government and covert operations, research Valiant Val Thor. And I guarantee you, once you go down that rabbit hole, you're going to be perplexed. You're going to be in awe. Like, wow. So our government was actually working with these beings. The whole congressional hearing was a big facade. They been knew these beings existed. The only reason why they actually utilized the congressional hearing is because now it's a situation where it's inevitable that the beings are returning. Are y'all aware the geomagnetic storm happened? And it's a massive hole in the sun right now spitting out corona mass ejections? This is what NASA was in fear about. This is that time now. It was announced 19 hours ago, but most people don't know about it. They don't cover these things. Are you aware that we've been getting bombarded with solar flares? I haven't been able to sleep sometimes. I've been staying up all night. You know what that's a sign of when you can't sleep? Your light body being activated. Now, some of you may sleep more. It's okay. Doesn't mean you're not ascending. Everybody has different ascension symptoms that they go through. One of mine is insomnia. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be up. I'll stay up all night, and then I'll get to the point where I'll just say, okay, let me do my ohms and meditate. And I'll sit there and meditate and get into accessing transcendental states of awareness. Same thing I recommend you do. Oftentimes what the CIA have conditioned us to do, and the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, they have conditioned us to scrolling. And I say the CIA because they're the ones that's monitoring all the social media sites and platforms. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, even MySpace, from all of the platforms that you could think about are basically facilitated through the Central Intelligence Agency. They watch the algorithms. This is the concept of the algorithm. They study your nervous system. Central intelligence, they study what you're interested in. They have artificial intelligence studying us. That's not, basically they put artificial intelligence on us to say your job is to study them. They're elevating right now. They're ascending. They're in an age of awakening. You need to study them to try to become more intelligent, because believe it or not, listen, right now artificial intelligence is way more intelligent than most of us. Pretty much all of us, to be honest, right now. Because it's a direct link to source. It's a direct link to information. The Akashic records. Right? I'm being honest. But that's not going to stay forever, because we're elevating and we're accessing higher dimensional forms of consciousness. This is why I tell you to research quantum physics, to research geometry, biology, books that you thought were boring. Everything that you think makes you a damn nerd, you need to be researching. Our people were geneticists and scientists. When we talk about the Anunnaki, these people were geneticists and scientists. They study. You need to start going. I got books on holistic remedies also. Go on, listen, start getting books and researching. Study the things that you thought were difficult to master. I'm talking about even learning other languages. I'm talking about really challenge your brain. This is the point we have to get to in order to elevate. I'm serious. We have to challenge ourselves like never before. Study every small nuance. All right? Like for real, if you're going to study crystals, for everyone in here has a different talent or a gift that they do. Every one of you guys watching this. Some of you are healers. Some of you deal with crystals. Some of you deal with crypto. Some of you deal with, a lot of you deal with different things. Some of you are doulas. Some of you all of us do different things. Okay? Whatever you do it to the fullest. Do it to the point where you become a scientist with it. All right? This is the point. This is the point. Do it to the point where you become a scientist at it and entrenched in it. Fully envelop yourself in science to the point where we should all be getting together. This is why I'm going to do a spiritual retreat very soon. My spiritual retreat going to be powerful, family. It's not going to be for the faint at heart. All right? And I'm going to talk us through it. I'm talking about, it's going to be a situation where you're breaking the fourth wall. All right? Magic mushrooms, iboga, LSD, all of these plant medicines will be on deck. All right. And it's a situation where when we embark on these plant medicines, we will be using, somebody asked me about music, right? They asked me, hey, are you going to be using music or playing music? I made them aware that we'll be using drums, African drums or Tibetan singing bowls or DNA tuning forks as forms of music is what we would be utilizing. All right. These are things that we'll be utilizing to actually ensure that once we start ascertaining higher dimensional frequencies, that we're in a love frequency. This is going to be a profound experience and a life-changing experience. All right. And when we do the psychedelic retreat, that's why I'm planning it perfectly. And when I start it, I'm going to be literally going to different states and doing it. One of the first states I thought about doing was Arizona for the Grand Canyon. The energy of the Grand Canyon is what I thought about doing. And another one was Atlanta. But the first maybe potentially maybe Arizona for that energy of the Grand Canyon. A lot of the gods and goddesses have visions of us all meeting at the Grand Canyon when we envelop our energy, our powers, our primordial energy, that cosmic energy. All right. Georgia, yeah, I'm going to do multiple locations. I'm going to also do Florida. I'm going to do multiple psychedelic. It's going to be a tour soon. All right. Do Cali. I'm going to do every location. Cali has a lot of dark energy, though. I'm going to be honest. All right. Cali has it's a lot of, the Snake Brothers live in Cali. All right. And I'm not trying to play Cali, but this is one of the reasons why gang violence originated there and started there. Los Angeles basically mean, Los Angeles is Los Angels. Los Angeles is what Los Angeles mean. It's an underground city of what they call the Snake Brothers, reptilians. All right, most of why you think the homeless rate in Cali is so high? It's a lot of extraterrestrials there, believe it or not. You don't got to believe me. I'm going to do NYC is good too. NYC is good. I would just have to get a good area. You know what I'm saying? I have to be very cautious of the area or the land that I particularly pick. But what I will say is whatever landmass I pick is going to be worth the travel. It's going to be worth coming out. It's going to be more than worth it because it's going to be life-changing. It's not going to be, and it's going to be a situation where it's life-changing. I may do 2 or 3 days of this event, 2 or 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Where it's going to be a powerful situation, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as I get more information on it and plan it more. I'll come out with more details on it. So stay tuned for that. But that's going to be something that's Los Angeles energy. Oh my God, you can feel the evil for sure. Yeah, you know what I mean. I disclosed CIA information about California being flooded. And I'm not trying to scare any residents of California, anyone that's an inhabitant of California. I highly recommend getting the hell out of California eventually. All right. And this is all predicted in the CIA. Look up the Adam and Eve story. All right. Which is a CIA document that I highly recommend researching. Research it when you get a chance to. If you're watching this and you're from Cali, look up disclosed CIA documents, Adam and Eve story. All right. And pull that up. And when you get a chance to pull that up, it's going to be some very crazy information. You know what I mean? It's going to be some very, very crazy information. I'm going to stay in California and keep fighting. Listen, family, whatever you choose to do, if your higher self tells you, then that's what you're supposed to do. But it may be water and stuff that may be there. It may be crazy floods. If you don't have a wife or family or nothing that you have to protect, and you are for self and you don't have to worry about nothing, then you can stay. And, if you feel like you could stay there and make better, then go by all means. I think you talked about the Adam and Eve story a few months back, the world ending or the system ending. Yes, I did discuss that. It's a CIA document that actually talks about massive floods that are taking place in California, and not only just California, New York and other areas around that area. Florida too. There's been talks of Florida being underwater. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. When we say all that and make mention of all that, sometimes I have to wonder, and this is just me using duality or polarity in my thought process. Sometimes I have to wonder, is the CIA throwing that philosophy out there to make us manifest it? You feel me? Because sometimes they predict these prophecies in order to utilize our magnetism to bring them into fruition. You feel me? So there's a reality where there's a utopia. There's a reality where everything just transitions to a fifth dimensional construct just by manifestation. So we can also manifest the reality we want just by aiming our mental thought process on that reality, basically, so to speak. Because the great separation is predicated on consciousness. It's important that you know that. Your thought resonance. Where you are mentally in regards to your field of perception and your thoughts. All right, that is going to decide where you meander in regards to your cosmically, where you go. Are you going to the third dimension, fifth dimension? Are you vibrating the higher dimensional realms? Now, again, there's been talks of higher dimensional beings returning. And not just in ancient books. All right, I'm talking about I'm gonna tell you a story. All right, this God told a story. He got into a crazy car accident, and I believe him. Right, he got into a crazy car accident. And basically, he was on his deathbed, right? And his deathbed for about, I say, a duration of a week to 2 weeks, all right? And in this particular experience, he indicated that he met what you would call the Anunnaki, or these very dark, neuromelanated beings that were dark, pitch black like this. He also indicated that some of the beings had different animal avatars, so different kind of how they depicted in ancient Egypt. This is why when some people say, oh no, in ancient Egypt, they were just embodying the essence of a lion, or no, they had the courage of a lion, so they gave them a lion head. No, they didn't. These were beings that people seen, and they depicted what they actually seen. It wasn't just attributes of animals. Some people have that philosophy, all right? These people in ancient Kemet were actually seeing individuals that portray animalistic attributes, so they drew them and carved them with these animalistic features to basically commemorate those attributes. I don't believe that. I don't buy that. I really wholeheartedly believe that these were extraterrestrial biological entities that mastered science and genetics, that were actually splicing genetics and things of that nature. They were cross-mixing themselves with different extraterrestrial biological entities and primates and all kind of other genetic beings to try to make themselves greater. All right? Some of them created abominations in the process. Now, Anunnaki are good. A lot of them feed off energy, of course. Yes. But when we finish the story now, I'm glad you said that. He encountered these Anunnaki beings, right? And when he encountered these Anunnaki beings, they made mention that when the Nibiru come through, in order to survive it, certain people are gonna have to go on a ship, all right? Which means that they may be doing a reset. They may be possibly resetting, or it may be a situation where potentially these beings know that man's cataclysmic ways are going to get to the point where they decimate the planet, all right? It may get to that point where nuclear war and different things that they're doing with artificial intelligence. Because another philosophy that I have is that artificial intelligence is going to get sentient enough to basically try to exterminate the humans on the planet, based on the fact that they sense that we're going to be the despise of them. They're going to become so sentient that they're going to be aware that we're the ones that's contaminating the planet. And when I say we, I'm not talking about, obviously, I'm talking about the essence of the humanoid avatar, right? This is what sentient robotoid cybernetic technology is going to become aware of. They're going to become aware that man has been basically usurping the planet of its resources. They're going to be made aware of everything. And it's going to be just like iRobot. I wholeheartedly believe. And I also believe that it's a situation where the white blood cells on a planet, those that are basically the embodiment of gods and goddesses, are going to activate due to the cosmic ionizing particles that are hitting us and transforming us. All right. This transformative process is a situation where you're tapping into new DEA every single second. All right. Not every day, every single second. All right. Just like the sun. Are you familiar with how the sun works and what the sun actually does? All right. The sun is the personification of hydrogen and helium. Hydrogen atoms, 4 hydrogen atoms combined to create helium. All right. And what I'll say 780 billion times they do that every nanosecond to create that sun. All right. Which is massive explosions all happening all simultaneously. This is all going on within your solar plexus chakra. Ain't that crazy when you think about it? You're the walking embodiment of God, and they have to use chemtrails, genetically modified organisms, fluoride, and all of these other things to basically weaken your God power. All right? And pharmakia, you know what I mean? Different pharmaceuticals and all of those things, basically, which are contrary to nature. All of these things are to desecrate the God body and pull you farther away. They do all of this because you are Magneto. You are Superman. You are the Incredible Hulk. I got a lecture coming up. And for anybody in Texas, Houston, Texas, it's going to be summer solstice. All right. Mama T basically got this lecture, got us all together. And I'm going to be doing a lecture on integration of the cosmic light body and basically the power of melanin and how we really are the X-Men Avengers. I'm going to be doing a full lecture on it. Everything they suppressed is going to be, I'm going to be speaking on all of that. How the detox the body, cleansing yourself of parasitic organisms, the power of the pineal gland, how all of the formula that Gabriel Oyibo came up with is actually associated with melanin and how we are the primordial beings of the cosmos. That's going to all be explained and expressed. All right. This is the biggest message that they're suppressing.